Good morning from my kitchen. This is not how I was expecting to do my very first video vlog, but it is what's happening because it's raining outside. And I'm a cycle commuter. This is my 6th year of full-time cycle commuting. I no longer own a car, and I live in Charlotte, North Carolina, which is not the most friendly cycling city on the planet. Although it has gotten better in the years since I've started riding, and in the years that I've lived here now 15 years, and I've ridden off and on all through that time. But about 6 years ago, I think first due to finances and then later because it's awesome, I gave up my car. And at the time I was a single mom of a teenager, a senior in high school, and she has now grown up and gone, and I am still riding my bike. So that's my life. I am not a young person out there on city streets, weaving through traffic. I am a very calm 50-year-old lady out there trying to get from place to place every day on a bicycle. And for the most part, I love it. I can't imagine a better way to live my life. I planned for my first video to show scenes while I was talking, but it's raining. I'm about to get dressed. So I thought this video would go over what I'm gonna wear today. It is raining. I'm about to get some new rain pants, but I don't have any right now, so this is my absolute least favorite time to ride a bike. It is 35 degrees, it is raining, it's dreary. The greenway I usually take is going to be flooded. So I do all sorts of things to keep warm on a day like today. One of the things is I have fleece lined tights, and they will get wet, so I'm taking a change of pants. I do have waterproof panniers on the back of my bike, so I'll take a change of pants, change of shoes today, and I'm also taking my daughter's Christmas present to mail this afternoon. So I have kind of a lot of stuff to go in my bags. We'll see how that works. I have a nice raincoat that I wear, which keeps my top half totally dry, so that right now it's gonna be mostly the tops of my thighs getting wet, and then just going to school and changing clothes. I should mention I work with children, and so I work at an elementary school. So that's that. I wear a hat on my head usually, but today I'll have my rain hood up, and that'll probably be enough warmth. And then I wear a really heavy duty pair of North Face gloves that are they're that real kind of fuzzy fabric, like fur-like fabric on the outside, and then they're like double lined, really awesome. I forget what they're called, but I am on my second pair of them because I've tried lots of different pairs of gloves over the winters, and these gloves have kept my hands warm all the way down to like 8 degrees, which is basically as cold as it's ever gonna get in Charlotte. Our normal temperature through the winter is probably about mornings 35 to 40 degrees, and then sometimes below freezing. So it doesn't get super cold here, actually. This is one of the better places to be a commuter because we really experience pretty mild temperatures, except during the summer when it's like hot like hell. So winters aren't bad, and so you can easily, with a little preparation, ride comfortably all year long in Charlotte, and I do. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and get ready and start my ride this morning. So I'll let you guys see what that looks like. Have a good day. This is what I refer to as the loading, unloading zone of my bicycle. It does not usually look like this. It usually just looks like a bookshelf, but I'll take stuff out during the week, sometimes stack it, and then put stuff in. So it's a constant thing of trading out what I have on my bike and in my bags. So this is where all the magic happens of getting ready. That's all the stuff that's got to go in today. And there's some stuff in my great bags. These are Basil bags, and it's their commuter edition. They have little, can't really tell here. Yes, you can, look. The piping on the bags is able to be seen in the dark. So what's that called? And they're great. Nothing has ever gotten wet in there unless if you leave the bags open and it's raining in them, the water stays in there, which is terrible. So if that does happen, you will be carrying around some water in your bags. So this is my bike. I've had it for a number of years and I love it. It's a Kona Rove. It's the best bike I have ever owned by far. All right. So here's my goofy rain getup. It's like a whole thing. And so I'm about halfway through my ride, and I wanted to show what it looks like for the creek to be at flood stage. And the greenway I usually take is right down that ramp, and it's flooded. So what I do then is I take the road that's adjacent to this greenway, and it's a little more hectic. But that's what I do for an alternative. I have several alternative routes that I use when I can't use this greenway that has flooded because it rained all night. Yeah, I saw them on the other side. Okay, I'm back. I'm having hot chocolate. It's the end of the day. Today was, and I'll get better at video footage as I go. I was gonna do a whole video of the ride today, and I only stopped for moments and did sections because I broke my mount on my bike as I was trying to position the phone, so I had to order a new mount and ended up just videoing the sections I thought were interesting. One of those was a meeting with a family of deer that I found just so fabulous when I was in the park. So I should explain, and I think I explained this morning, I literally ride down the hill from my house, hit a greenway, this is how I usually get to work, and have to cross a 4-lane road and get on a greenway, and I ride, it's a 3-mile ride to work and back. So at least my work commute, the one that I do right now, is not very long, and it's flat except for there's a killer hill right at the end as I'm going up to the school where I work. It's hella steep and just like ruthless. So like if you at all lose any momentum on that hill, you're gonna have to walk it. But so I had planned to do a whole footage of that, and it didn't quite work out as I'd like. But I did get a small footage of some deer, and that was probably the most magical moment of my day. It's interesting, it's Friday the 13th, and I hadn't even thought about that because it's December and the kids are insane in December, and it was a full moon 2 days ago, and it's Christmas, and all these things are going on, and we can just barely keep ourselves together. So it makes writing that much more kind of zen. Like you need those moments of you feeling quietness in your ears and just seeing things. Cardinals always give me a pause, and there's one tree on the greenway right now that has like a tree that's broken off from another tree and is like sitting in the top of this other tree, just hanging there. Like it could fall at any moment, and that's kind of exciting. So so there are all these little moments when you're riding that you don't get in a car, and that's part of why I've always loved doing it. I've been riding a bike a lot since I was a teenager, and I've ridden in every city I've lived in, and a lot of my life I've been car free. This past time I became car free, like I mentioned earlier, as a result of just not having a whole bunch of extra money for a $700 car fix. What do they call that? Like, oh, going to mechanic, like car repair. So I just didn't have the money at that point for that, and I just realized, and I don't really want to drive it, because I was riding my bike even then, and like the days I would show up for work on my bicycle, I would just feel kind of happy, kind of like I had gone through this beautiful experience to get to school, and voila, here I am, and I feel good. And that was how things went then. And it was a big part of my decision to stop having a car. I was just like, this is just a big hunk of metal I don't need. And this morning was rainy, and I was not expecting the family of deer in the park. And actually they all looked like young deer. So there were like 4 small sized deer. And I stopped with a guy that was walking his dog to look at them, and they were just kind of wonderful, and they were just kind of hanging out. And then I was like, well, I gotta go, and he's like, well, I gotta go. So we both went our separate ways, and as I'm going along, I'm going in the same direction as the deer. And the deer just started racing or trying to get away from me. I think they thought I was a predator. And they were amazing. Like, I came up to the part where I normally take a left over this to take a bridge over the creek, and there's a sidewalk there that goes up to the bridge, and the deer, instead of running across the sidewalk, just jumped the sidewalk, just went over it like it was a big hurdle. And you know, the ones that were really running had their tails up, and it was like a white fluffy tail. It was amazing. And after that I could go to school. You know, it's about being wet or cold. And I realized I dread that rainy day ride so much, and it's always, the dread is usually worse than the ride itself. There have been a few days when it's rained really hard, and I've just been like, but mostly the rain's not that bad, and I get on I get to where I'm going, and still it feels good. It feels good to be alive. And it feels good to have gotten there by my own power, not by a car. There's a big difference, but by my own power. And I was once, a couple years ago, I was walking out on a wet day with another teacher, and she said, well, what do you do when it rains? And I said, I get wet. Like I get wet. And I think the truth of that is, we've put all these, this is going to be a little philosophical, we've put all these parameters around what experiences we can have and which ones we can't. Like, you're not supposed to smell bad things. You're not supposed to, you know, you're supposed to, the smells in your life are supposed to be only wonderful. And the experiences of your life are never supposed to be rain drenched, certainly. You're just supposed to be dry and comfortable all the time, and you're supposed to smell good all the time. And
I've thought a lot about that in the past 6 years, that I don't need to be comfortable all the time. I don't need to be dry all the time. I don't need to smell good all the time. It's okay. It's okay that I love riding my bike to get to a place, and that sometimes that involves being uncomfortable. It's okay. So that was my takeaway from today, this Friday the 13th, when I saw this wonderful group of deer just running so fast. And they're so light. I mean, they're like, I want to say they're like gazelle, but they're like deer, you know, they're just bounding across the landscape, and you just are like, what is that? And it feels good to experience life that way, and to get to see that every morning. Sometimes I see a heron, and those are going to be the best days. The days that the heron's on the creek. Every time I see it, I think, and this is weird, I think God's here. And I don't know how people feel about that, but my feeling of that is, this is the universe unfolding today in the form of a heron, today in the form of these great deer. And so I think that's where I'm going to leave off. I'm expecting this vlog to be kind of messy, because I am. And I've ordered a new bike mount, and I don't know what will happen here. Maybe this will just be something I do for like a minute in time, but I feel like it's important right now to express to people that there are other ways to get around town than in a car, and there are much more exciting ways to get around town than in a car. And even in cities where riding a bike can be a bit stressful, there are ways to get around those towns on a bicycle that are not only not very stressful, but lovely, where you never know what you might see or who you might come into contact with, or if the heron is on the creek today. Thanks. See you next time. Bye.